Hi there, I hope you guys okay. My name is Daksha Mistry. I am BBC MasterChef finalist and also have a catering company called Daksha's Gourmet Catering, paired up with Burnt Oak Community Food Bank, where they do lots and lots of produce, which I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful dish today, stuffed courgettes. I've just cut this particular courgette in half, and all I've done is I've scooped out the middle part of the courgette, and I'm just going to show you how to do that. So what we're going to do is to just take a spoon and scrape, and all we're doing is just scraping the middle part of the thing, and it's the soft part, and that we're not going to waste it. Nothing's going to go to waste. We're going to cook this within, and we're going to stuff them, and that's it. Simple as that. So now I've done the other ones as well, just to show you how I did it. And this particular flesh, we're going to cook it off with the mince, and we're going to stuff it back into the courgette and going to then bake it in the oven. So I'm going to put my pan on and going to start cooking this lamb. And always start off making sure the oil is nice and hot. So now I'm going to add some onions into it, and as you can see, the oil is nice and hot. I'm going to use all of it, might as well. And then what we're going to do is to turn the heat up and stir the onions. Now with all my cooking, I always say a pinch of salt at the beginning draws the moisture out of the onions to make sure that it cooks through and gives you a lovely cooked onions. Beautiful. So this is lovely. So while the onions are cooking, I'm just going to talk through it to you exactly how this dish is going to be done as we go along. So whilst the onions are cooked, we're going to add our courgettes, the carrots, which are the two vegetables which we want to make sure that cooks through lovely. And then also I will be adding a spring onion. So let's chop up the spring onion ready for it to go in our courgettes. I'm just going to cut them sort of just finely or as big as you want, doesn't really matter. And you're going to add that to your mince so it looks really delicious and tastes delicious as well. So here we go. And let's see how the onions are doing. Yep, onions have gone really lovely and translucent, meaning they've gone kind of opaque style. At this stage, we're going to add courgettes that we scooped, the flesh of the courgette that we scooped out, and we're going to pop that in there. So see, nothing is wasted. We're using all of it. Nothing gets wasted. And then we're going to stir this up nicely. And at this stage, you can see that it's becoming beautiful, and the onions are coming up nicely. And to this, we're going to add a bit of carrots. Remember, we're adding more and more vegetables to this dish is to make sure that the dish itself is packed with nutrients and flavorful vegetables that is available at the Community Food Bank. So I'm going to add one more thing to this is peppers and spring onions. So that's another color that's coming out nicely. All we're going to do now is to let that cook through for a little bit longer before we add the spices in. And the spices that we're going to add today are some garlic, some smoked paprika, some oregano. You know, we're going to stick to that Italian route. And that's all we're going to do is let that cook through and see how this is going. And we'll come back in a few minutes to show you how we're going to add the lamb. Okay, so as you can see, our courgettes have broken down. The tomatoes are going to go in next. So peppers and everything is coming together. Just going to turn the heat up a little bit, and then now we're going to add our spices. So as I said, we need some garlic, lots of garlic in there, very important, and then some oregano. Being Italian, you've got to make sure you've got lovely oregano in there. Got some pepper coming through there, salt. Again, remembering we already put salt in it, so we want to make sure we don't want to put too much salt in it, and a pinch of paprika, just to give you that lovely smoky taste. And we're going to mix that through, lovely. Turn the heat up a little bit more. There you go. Now at this stage, we're going to add the mince. So this is lamb mince. So all we're going to do is to add the lamb mince to the base of the, so that we can stuff the courgettes with it. So we're going to cook the lamb first, so that we're going to put it in the sauce now. So add that to the beautiful gravy there, and then we're going to break this up and make sure that all the meat is mixed up with these beautiful courgettes, onions and the peppers. Lovely. So make sure you break up the meat nicely, and what it's going to do is it's going to give you lovely, lovely, juicy, juicy, juicy lamb, all stuffed up in these beautiful courgettes. Very nice. Wonderful. See, everything is mixed up very nicely now. So, you know, a few more minutes and then the meat will be Remember, we're going to put this in the oven as well. So it's not like that we have to cook the meat through thoroughly. But as long as it's crispened up a little bit so that it's got a bit of color on it. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Right, so at this stage, we're just going to add a bit of ordinary tomatoes in here. So I would say maybe 3 to 4 teaspoons or tablespoons, but I'm using a tablespoon. So they say 4 tablespoons of tomatoes going into our sauce. So now we're going to let this cook for 2 minutes, just for the sauce to get absorbed into the meat. And then we're going to add just one more ingredient before we stuff the courgettes. I'm going to add some cheese and some basil. Now those two things, cheese is going to actually sit inside the mince, and when we stuff our courgettes here, it will actually hold the whole filling nicely within the space that we've created within this courgette. So in a few minutes, you'll see that the sauce itself will be thickened up as soon as I add the cheese. But what will do, the cheese will literally just soak up the sauce. It'll go beautiful in this courgette. So another minute or so, and then we are ready to do the job. So let this cook, and I'll come back to you in 1 minute. Okay, so this has been cooking for 1 minute, as I said, and it's coming. See, as I said to you, that the sauce is absorbed into the meat now, and at this stage I'm going to add a little bit of cheese, not too much, just a little bit of cheese, so that the sauce is even more thickened. And I'm going to tear some basil up in there, because that way you've got some lovely basil flavors going throughout the whole dish. Remember, it's an Italian dish. Basil is very important here. I'm going to do that. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So at this stage, I'm going to switch the gas off, because we are ready to do the stuffing now. So I'm going to put the plate over here. Then I'm going to take a lovely spoon. Now, all it requires now is to assemble the whole dish. To assemble the dish, you've got your mince ready, you've got your basil for the garnishing, you've got a cheese for the garnishing, you've got the 2 sauces. This is the one is the homemade sauce. The tomato sauce I made earlier for another dish, but I've kept it to show you it's a homemade tomato Italian sauce. And if you don't have that, please do use the one that's available at the food bank. Ready-made is just as delicious, but obviously homemade, you know exactly what you put in it, and it's made to your way of the dish. So today I'm going to use the tomato sauce that I made here. So basically, to start off assembling the dish, we're going to take the tomatoes and we're going to put it in the base of the dish, because we want to make sure the dish is got a bit of sauce in it so that it doesn't dry up the dish, not too much. And then you spread it on the bottom of the dish completely. That's it, absolutely lovely. So now we're going to place our courgettes in the middle of the dish completely, like this. As you can see, they're lovely. So now we're going to place our mince that we made in the middle of each of the courgettes. lovely. And as you can see, it's filling up really beautiful, and already the dish is coming together and looking really, really good. So that's a bit done. So now we're going to put more sauce on it, which is my homemade sauce. So take a spoonful of sauce and put it straight on the top there. Be generous, yeah, because this is going to come up really, really lovely. There you go, wonderful. So each sauce is going on each of these courgettes. Finish it off so the whole sauce comes out really, really goes into the meat dish. And then once this is done, we're going to add some cheese. So just take some cheese and put it straight onto that. It's like making pizza, you know, you're just putting all your toppings on. Because this is sort of a similar sort of thing, but obviously this is stuffed courgettes. You know, it's got mince in it, got tomatoes in it, got all the herbs and spices in it. Lovely. You know, be generous with your cheese. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Put that on the side. And then we're going to put some basil. Tear some basil up. Does that look lovely? And all I can say to you now, that this dish is ready to go in the oven. Okay, so this is ready to go in the oven. Oh, just one more point. I've used cheddar cheese today on this particular courgettes, but if you do have any other cheese, Parmesan is really good. If the Burnto Community Food Bank has Parmesan, please do use Parmesan. But if it's not there, not to worry. Any cheese, any hard cheese is fine. Today I've used cheddar cheese so that because it was at the food bank and I wanted to use that cheese. But any cheese is fine. So let's go put it back in the oven and see what it looks like. Okay, our courgettes have been cooking for 25 minutes and it's been cooking at 180 degrees. So let's see how our courgettes are doing. There you go, right on the 25 minutes. Let's check. Wow, that looks amazing. Let's take it out of the oven and see what it looks like. Okay, so our stuffed courgettes are ready, and all we're going to do now is to put it on a plate and serve it up, these beautiful courgettes. That is my stuffed courgettes with lamb mince, homemade tomato sauce, and garnished with fresh basil. Buon appetito.